Konnichiwa! Hi everybody, welcome to my live stream. In case you haven't heard, the new Sonic movie is coming out, and in case you couldn't tell, I am very excited about the movie coming out, as you can tell by my apron. So today we're going to be making the favorite foods of 3 different characters. We're going to be making Shadow's favorite food, who I love. We're going to be making Sonic's favorite food, and then we're also going to be making Tails' favorite food. You may be asking, Summer, why are we ignoring the most important member of the trio, Knuckles? The reason is because Knuckles is one of those annoying gym bros whose favorite food is grapes. Since I cannot make grapes from scratch, I have decided to ignore him. Moving on, we're going to start making the foods of the favorite characters, starting with Detective Pikachu. Tails the Fox.
What does the fox say? Well, I can tell you what Tails smells like. Mint.
Guys, I haven't had that many mints.
Tails, there are 3 empty mint tins on the floor around you.
Look at 5.
Tails is canonically between 4 and 8 years old, so his favorite food being candy honestly tracks out pretty well. Mint candy though is a little odd, but it's fine. I looked up a couple mint candy recipes and I got a lot of them with like weird ingredients like gum extract and some other things that I would have to order. I didn't really want to do that, so I finally found one that I could make with ingredients at home, and it seemed pretty easy to do. All I needed was some butter, some cream cheese, as well as some white powder in a Ziploc baggie, as well as vanilla extract and peppermint extract. Specifically the peppermint extract. Do not use regular mint extract. It is going to taste like the nastiest toothpaste you've ever eaten in your whole entire life. Do not ask me how I know this. I may or may not have bought the wrong one. Making the candy was pretty simple. You just combine everything together. So it's the cream cheese, the powdered sugar, the butter, the vanilla extract, and peppermint extract. You just whip that together until you get a nice Play-Doh consistency that you fondle like a ball. But then it was time to make the shape, and when I looked online, it was all the boring Altoid shaped ones, and I was like, am I really a basic person? Yes. But do I want to look like an Altoid? No.
Now why am I in it?
And you could
Since I am not basic at all, I decided to see if I could make Tails out of the mint candy. So I decided to color it with some yellow food coloring, and it ended up looking like pee. As a side note, public service announcement, if your pee looks like this, please go to the emergency room immediately and drink some water, because you might be going into kidney failure or you might die. Who knows? After the color came out kind of how I wanted it to, I put some of it into molds because I wanted like a chocolate bar effect, but then I decided to start sculpting Tails. First, I did the little yellow part of his head, which is the upper half. I did his ears. I struggled a little bit, but what is life without struggle? What is pain without persevering?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
After that, I did his lower face, which is white. I did his whiskers, even though they ended up breaking off anyway, and that was a total waste of time. And I food colored his mouth red. It looks kind of janky, but it worked. I couldn't find the blue food coloring, so I just mixed some cocoa powder with the mint candy and did that for his nose and his eyeballs. And here he is looking like Mr. Poopy Butthole from Rick and Morty. He looks like he's been through a tough times. He looks like the fox that's sitting on a chair who really just went through a mental breakdown. But as they say in America,
just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and let's go. We gotta rest some candy for about 6 hours. I did it for 24 hours. So see you in a little bit.
24 hours later.
It's time to eat, baby! As you can see, the Hello Kitty ones came out super cute, but I was here for the final boss, the big shebang, the Tails that looks like he's been through a hard time. I ate it. Honestly, this was not bad. Like, it was crispy on the outside, very soft and melty in your mouth on the inside. Thankfully, it did not taste like toothpaste because I used peppermint, not mint, and it tasted pretty good. Like, overall rating is probably a 6 out of 10. The closest thing I can compare it to is, if you've ever had saltwater taffy, it's like an East Coast thing when you go to the beach, like OBX or Atlantic City or Ocean City or something like that. You get that kind of candy. It tastes like a really old grandma pulled it out of her really old purse and gave it to you. That's kind of the vibe of the candy. So overall, again, like 6 to 7 out of 10. It was pretty good. Would I eat it again? No, because it's not super sweet, but I don't really like candy like that. I can definitely see why our crackhead Tails likes it, because he is hyper and needs all that sugar to fly in the sky. Plus 1000 aura, no discussion needed. I love you, Shadow. Anyways, it's time to make food for my glorious Glazer. I mean Keanu Reeves. Got something in your mouth. Shadow. Shadow apparently likes food that you can eat on the go, so anything like Hot Pockets, Doritos very randomly, and of course pizza. Originally I was gonna make Doritos, but then I saw that cheese powder is super expensive online and I needed like $100 worth of cheese powder, so I am not gonna do that. I am gonna make pizza instead. Start off by making the pizza dough. It's literally some activated yeast, the flour, the sugar, the salt, the water, the olive oil, you know the vibe. vibes. Once that's blended up very nicely, I'm going to be kneading it for about like 10 minutes until it's smooth. Take a bowl, fill it with olive oil, put my dough in there, cover it up, put it in the fridge for 24 hours, and we move on to the next day.
24 hours later.
Originally, I was going to buy some marinara sauce, but I was like, you know what? I've never made it from scratch. Let's try to make it. I started off with some onions. I sauteed it in some olive oil and added some really thinly sliced garlic. Please, all the Italians out there, do not kill me. I know you're not supposed to mix the two, but this is what it is. I then added some salt, pepper, as well as some San Marzano canned tomatoes. It already comes with basil, but I added some extra oregano and basil, more salt and pepper, and then let that simmer. And look at how delicious this looks. You cannot tell me this does not look better than what you would get in a pan, okay? Like, this looks better than the jar tomato sauce, the canned tomato sauce, your grandma's tomato sauce. It is amazing. Okay. Now that the sauce is done, you're going to take your dough out of the fridge. You see me massaging it and I'm trying to stretch it out, but I was honestly way too lazy to get out a rolling pin. So I just stretch it out by hand, and now I'm making the crust because one thing about me, I love crust. Okay. That is my favorite part of pizza, the crust of the pizza. So I made a nice little thick crust. As a side note, I was supposed to poke holes in the crust first. I did not. I just added some olive oil, and then I spread my very delicious homemade marinara. And then I added a whole bunch of mozzarella cheese. I may or may not have bought this cheese back in August, but it says it's still good, so we're just going to use it anyway. Added the cheese, added a whole bunch of pepperoni because I bought the pepperoni in October and it's about to go bad. So yeah, look at it. It looks absolutely amazing. I tossed it in the oven, and here is the final result. So let's say ta-da! As you can see, the back is crispy, the top is also crispy, and it floofed up quite a lot. And when I cut it, it was kind of crusty. Let me put the sound up so you can hear it. As you can hear, it's actually very crunchy. And as always, first bite is not even for you, bestie. It is for Shadow. Second bite is for you, bestie. Third bite is for me. And honestly, this was a 9 out of 10. The crust is thick and crunchy, just the way I like it. There's no soggy parts at all. The marinara tasted delicious. Pepperoni tasted delicious. Cheese tasted delicious. Everything was delicious. I love this. I hope Shadow loves it. I hope you love it. Yeah, my glorious king, this is an offering for you. Sonic's obsession with chili dogs actually needs to be studied. He's the only character that I know who will get the Chaos Emeralds and use its infinite power to summon literally chili dogs from heaven, like it's Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Personally, I've never had a chili dog, so I was pretty excited to try it. I'm going to be making the hot dog bun from scratch, and I'm going to be using the New England hot dog bun recipe. It is basically the New England version of Japanese milk bread. It's the flour, the yeast, the salt, the sugar, activated yeast with some water. The only difference is you're going to be using milk powder instead of real milk. And yeah, I mixed it together in the blender with the dough attachment. I stuck it in the fridge for 24 hours. Let's continue on the next day.
24 hours later.
Good morning, sunshine. Here's what my dough looks like. I flattened out all the air as much as I could, and then I started portioning it off into little pieces because basically I'm going to weigh it out, make sure it's kind of similar in size, roll it out as much as I can. I don't know why the dough kept on shrinking, but it did. And what you want to do is roll it like a cinnamon roll. Once again, I feel like I've said this already before, but roll it like a cinnamon roll. And then where there's seams, you just want to like pinch it shut so there's no gaps, and fold it so it looks like this perfectly cylindrical hot dog bun. For these type of hot dogs, supposedly there's a pan made for it. I looked at the price and I realized that I didn't really care about that, so I'm just gonna be baking mine in a regular brownie tin. It's not even a tin, it's a glass. But I let that rest for about an hour. You can see it's like doubled inside and gotten really big. I egg washed the top because you want it to be nice and shiny, and look at how well that baked. It looks absolutely beautiful. Here's what it looks like on the side. I may or may not have left some of the dough underdone. I didn't know it at the time, but here's the first one. It looks absolutely delicious. It looks glorious. Of course, you have to do a taste test, and the best way to taste test bread is to use some honey or some butter. I use honey this time, and as always, first bite is for you, bestie. Tell me how it tastes, because for me, this was a 9 out of 10. It was probably some of the best bread that I baked in a while. It was really good. Now it's time to make the chili. I've never had chili before, so this is the recipe that I'm following, and I don't really have any stake in how to make it. So yeah, I started out by sauteing some onions in some butter and some oil. Then I added some spicy peppers, red bell peppers, and some more onions and a little garlic. Then I added my ground beef in there. Ignore the brown color. I don't know why I did that in the fridge. It just turned brown. I cooked it down until it's mainly cooked before I started adding my chili seasoning. It's basically some chili powder, some oregano, added some cumin, some garlic powder, some onion powder, a little spicy pepper, and that was basically it for now. Once that was done, I just let that cook down a little bit more before taking a paper towel and started dabbing up the oil, because listen, my arteries can be clogged, but I don't want it to be clogged because of chili. Okay, I want it to be clogged because of cake. Once that was done, I added my tomato paste and I stirred that in nicely. Then the recipe that I was using said I should add some beef bouillon. Unfortunately, this is the chicken household, but I added the chicken bouillon, stirred it up very nicely, and then I added the beans. Apparently, there's some discourse online where it's like people are saying beans don't belong in chili. I, again, have no mistake in this, I've never had chili before. So yeah, I added the beans in there, added some water and let that cook down, and that was basically it. Next up, it's time to make the hot dog. I will start this off by saying I don't actually like hot dogs, so I'm using Ardell chicken sausages instead of hot dogs because I don't like the concept of a hot dog. Cooked that in the oven and then I fried it on the pan to make sure it was like kind of crispy. Then I toasted my bread with some butter on the pan as well. And it's time to assemble this chili dog. Let us look at the picture of Sonic with his chili dog. He looks like he has chili on it and then some cheese and some onions. So that's the one I did first. I added the hot dog in there and I added the chili. The chili was actually pretty good. Chili's rating is probably like an 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. It was pretty good. But then I added some chopped onions and then I added some cheese as well. Put it in the oven so the cheese could get melty. I only had cheddar cheese. I don't even know if that's the right cheese, but it's yellow and it looks accurate. I put it in the oven. Once I was done, here's what it looks like. And then I made another one because I saw a picture of Sonic and it looked like he had like ketchup and mustard on it. So I made it again. I added the hot dogs to the bread. Then I added some onions. I added the chili and then I added the onions and then added ketchup and mustard. And that's what that looks like as well. Look at it at all the angles. It's time to do a taste test. As always, first bite is for you, bestie. You tell me how it tastes. Personally, it was actually really delicious. I cannot believe I have never had this before. I always thought they looked kind of nasty, but yeah, no, the taste is actually really good. It's like an 8 out of 10 for both of them. In fact, the one with the ketchup and mustard might actually be an 8.5 because I'm not really a fan of ketchup or mustard, but the way it came together with the onions on the chili dog was phenomenal. Sonic, I like the way your taste buds work. This is actually really good. 8 out of 10 for both of them. And yeah, that's me making the favorite foods of the Sonic characters for the Sonic movie that's coming up soon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to me. If you have anything you want me to cook, please go ahead and leave a comment. I mainly cook anything, honestly. And if I don't have the ingredients, I'm willing to get the ingredients and try. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good day, night, evening, whatever you want to call it. Bye.